I'm Lauren with Pack Hacker, and in this video we're taking a detailed look at the BAGSMART Walker 34-liter laptop duffel, which I've been testing for the last 2 weeks. Let's dive in. Right out the gate, we're just going to address the elephant in the room. This thing is covered in cat hair. So this material does attract pet hair very, very quickly and easily. It's pretty easy to lint roll it off. I did leave it on so that you could get an idea of, like, this was just kind of like hanging out after a trip, and my cat like slept on it a couple different times, and this is what happened. So he slept on this side. He did kind of sleep on this side, or didn't sleep on this side, but you can see that it did still attract some pet hair. So that's something you deal with, something to keep in mind. But it is their like typical, I'm gonna bring it up closer to the camera. It's BAGSMART's typical like quilted nylon fabric, which they have a bunch of bags with this type of a material, and it just kind of has like a fluffy look to it. But it's not like an overtly fluffy bag. It doesn't like take up a ton of space. It doesn't add a ton of weight or anything like that. I think it just kind of gives it an interesting aesthetic. So this bag does look like different from other duffel bags that are on the market. It does kind of have a distinct kind of vibe to it. So I do like that. But the outside of it is pretty simple. We have the BAGSMART logo on the front. It's stitched on. It feels like it's still in good shape and everything, so no complaints there. I haven't noticed any loose threads or anything around this thing. It's in still really good shape. I mean, even like the blemishing on this is really just largely the pet hair, which again, may not even be an issue for you if you don't even have pets or a non-shedding pet or whatever. So no issues there kind of in general. The material is, they say waterproof and featherweight. So featherweight meaning it's lightweight, waterproof. The material itself is like waterproof. The zippers and things are not, so this is not a waterproof bag. I did get caught in like a snowstorm and like kind of put this down on some, like I think I put this down in the snow, and then also like once you got inside kind of in some like goopy areas where snow had melted, and nothing like seeped through or anything like that. This base is a slightly more like, it's not that same quilted fabric. It does feel just kind of like a nylon or like a polyester or something. And it is like a little bit rougher. It kind of looks like ballistic almost, but that adds a little bit of durability. This whole bottom bit is the shoe compartment, which we'll get into when we actually look at the organization. But it does feel like it will last, I guess, through the elements. I would be a little bit concerned if you were like walking through like a rainstorm. I do think that it would kind of seep in that way, but if you get or stuck in like quick jaunts or something with rain, should be fine. We also have SBS zippers all around, which have held up pretty well for me. And then we have a dual zipper design. So these zippers actually, like these zipper tracks, or this zipper track actually comes undone on either side, which is a pretty common duffel design. So it just buckles down to like lock in the look and the fit of this, but it does unbuckle so that you can get a like better look at everything inside once you're looking at the main compartment. So I'll show you what that looks like when we actually get in there. But in general, it's held up well, and we do have 34 liters of capacity on this thing, so you can fit a decent amount of gear inside. But let's take a look at the harness system before we look at that. So you actually have 3 different ways to carry this thing. You have the short carry handles, the long carry handles, and then the removable crossbody straps. So starting off with these short handles, these are that same quilted material. So you can see that they look kind of puffy. There's no like explicit padding in here. Honestly, it kind of feels like a really thin pillow almost. Like when you grab onto it, like the material itself is really the only cushion that you're getting. So this was comfortable for like moving it around quickly or quick grabs, or like if you're just walking like right to the car or something. This was perfectly fine, but it's not adding like a ton of cushion or anything. So it definitely gets sore, like, or your hand can get tired like when you are walking for like a long time. We also have these carry handles here that, oops, this one, nope, that's not it, which actually I was going to talk about that. But these long carry handles come together with like a little faux leather looking snap here to keep them together. And this is long enough that it can fit over one shoulder, which is primarily how I carried this thing. There's no extra padding or anything, but again, I didn't really feel like I needed it. Maybe if you were going to be carrying it long distances this way, that would be nice, but you know, quick jaunts, again, perfectly fine. And then the removable actual crossbody strap does have a little bit of padding, which you could remove this padding if you want to, but it just connects on D-rings on either side of the bag here. And this here, I felt like just kind of got in the way more than anything. Like I would say if you're not gonna be using this a lot, then I would just remove this and like set it aside, maybe bring it with you. But I primarily just found that these were easy, like the top carry handles were easy enough to grab. I just noticed that, and you saw me do it earlier, when I went to go grab these top or like this shoulder carry, I would sometimes be grabbing this and it would be getting in the way and things like that. So it can get a little bit chaotic if you have all three of, or if you have this attached too. But in general, the carry comfort is like, I would say very neutral across the board. Not uncomfortable, but doesn't like blow you away either. This is the bag utilizing that crossbody strap. So with this shoulder pad, like it adds a little bit of comfort, but like I mentioned, it's not really like substantial, I guess. Like I can definitely feel the weight of this kind of pulling my body. In addition to that, this is about the longest you could possibly get it. So if you are a little bit larger, it may be like still feeling a little bit tight on your body if you use it as like a full crossbody. Also, because this strap is so small and it moves a lot, I found myself like almost losing track of it. Like if I were to, you know, very quickly put this on, it would end up back here and I'd kind of have to like shuffle it forward manually, which to me was just too tedious. So what I ended up doing primarily was utilizing these side carry straps, and these went right over my shoulder and was very comfortable. Because they clip together, you don't have to like hold them all the time, which sometimes you have to do with duffels because they'll like slip off your shoulder. But it does a really good job at just kind of like hanging out next to you. Obviously, I would remove this extra strap dangling around, but it's comfortable enough. And then you have the side carry handle as well. If you're finding this video helpful, hit subscribe so we can keep making content to help you travel smarter. For now, we're gonna look at the secondary compartments. I did remove this crossbody strap because it does just kind of get in the way when you're like loading this thing. Honestly, I would take it off like when packing and then put it on when you need it, if you're gonna use it. But the organization is pretty simple. We have a front pocket that is a little ringed zipper pull, which is pretty standard for BAGSMART, at least in this line. And then it has a decent amount of organization, honestly, like, or not organization, decent amount of space. I put a wallet and keys in here, and you can see there's like a little bit of space left. The compartments definitely cut into each other, so I have this main compartment packed out pretty tight, and there wasn't a ton of extra room in here, but you can see there's like a little bit of depth to the pocket. I guess you can kind of see it there. There's a little bit of depth to the pocket that if you do have less in this main compartment, you could fit more in here. But I use this for the things that I was gonna get, like that I wanted to access relatively frequently, but were kind of small. So keys would go in there, or if I was traveling long term, I would just put them inside somewhere. Wallet, phone could go in there if it wasn't in a pocket, and then like headphones or something. So very easy for like quick grab items. If not, it does stay completely flat and doesn't, like, in my opinion, look bad. We also have this back pocket here, which this actually unzips at the bottom and doubles as a luggage pass-through. So that's very nice if you want to utilize that feature, or you can have it completely zipped up and then use this as a pocket. So I didn't really use this. This is best for like flat items. It's a magnetic buckle closure here. You could like throw your passport in here if you really wanted to. I don't really ever use these back pockets, but it is kind of nice to have the functionality. Like sometimes it'll just be a sleeve and no zipper option. And it's like, oh, I wish I could use that as a pocket. I don't know. I've never done that, but I can see how somebody would. So it's nice to have the option to, you know, store some items in there. And then the main thing, I think the like biggest selling point for people who are interested in this bag would be like this shoe compartment. So this actually opens, it's like a paracord zipper pull, and it opens almost entirely. I would say it opens, well, it opens like about technically halfway if you really look at it, but it's like a little bit more than that maybe, because none of this opens here. The zipper is truly only like that top and like most of this side. Which I kind of have a love-hate relationship with. I see why it's not a full opening, because it could like, this would like flop around a lot, and it just adds a little bit of security to not have like a fully unzippable spot or compartment. But I did notice that like when I, like this was a pocket that I needed to fill first. And then when I got to my destination and I still had everything packed in my bag and I took the shoes out, it just kind of was like a weird floppy vibe. Like it was just like really flat down there, and then like getting them back in was kind of annoying. Like I almost wish I could just open it a little bit more on this side to give myself a little bit more access. But if you look at it like just as a standalone pocket, right? Like this material isn't like a waterproof material per se. So I would definitely like, honestly, I would probably utilize a shoe pouch in here anyway. You can see I'm kind of struggling to get that back in there. These are size men's 10.5 shoes, and you can see there's a little space to spare too. So like I would definitely utilize a shoe pouch, because then if I wanted to down the line, I could theoretically use this for more clothing if I don't need to bring a spare pair of shoes. Because when you'll see when we get into the main compartment, if you're not using this bottom shoe compartment, it's wasted space. Like it's not like the main compartment like will actually cut into that space, like the very base of it doesn't like expand down. So then also like with this, you know, I have wasted space on either side of the shoe, so you can see that gap. So I thought it was good. I mean, if the shoe compartment is a huge selling point for you, I think that this works really well. There are just like a few caveats like that you kind of have to deal with when you're dealing with a shoe compartment in general, mostly just being the, like whatever shoes you put in here when they're dirty, these are office shoes, so they're clean on the bottom. But like I put in an extra pair of like tennis shoes, like a pair of gym shoes in here, and that was really great. But like, if I put a pair of like outdoor shoes, then the next time I put in a pair of like sandals or something, that could get those dirty. So it's just kind of, I think you kind of got to be a little bit creative, but it was nice to have dedicated spot for a pair of shoes, especially once you get into this main compartment. So kind of keeps things a little bit more separated. Now going into the main compartment. So if I unzip this without unbuckling those two zippers, we do have a dual zipper situation, paracord zipper pulls, little plastic heat shrink on the end for easy grabbing. If you see this, you kind of like, it just is a little bit tight on the sides. So every time I was loading this thing up, I always detach these so that I could just get a more like visible look. It almost like makes it more of a rectangular shape and more of a bucket that's easy to pack. However, it does start to collapse as you remove items. So we're kind of gonna go in reverse here. I have three packing cubes, I guess, technically filled with clothing in here. This is, if you pack smart, like about, you know, a week's worth of clothing. But if you want to, like for myself, when I used this, I was traveling wintertime and I needed like a larger sweater. I definitely had to cut down on the amount of gear that could fit in here, because it starts to get kind of like, it starts to get full pretty quickly. Let me take out these pouches. So this is a tech pouch, a toiletry bag, and just like a pouch kind of in that back corner there. You can see this flexible kind of design here. Like this, when I put this in here, it fills up a ton of space. That like bigger packing cube, and then if I stack a packing cube on top, like I can kind of do that and then kind of put that one there, and then it's just like it doesn't close, you know? So like you can't really utilize all of that vertical space. You do have to leave a little bit of a gap so that this like top zipper can actually come together and zip up. So that's something to keep in mind. Also, right now I do have shoes in the shoe compartment, and if I take these out, actually, let me do that really quick. See, I kind of wanted to keep zipping. If I take these out, put these aside, and then load this up, it starts to get kind of like saggy, because this is what I was talking about, where the base of, let me open this up a little bit. The base of that main compartment area it ends here, and it doesn't expand down here if you wanted it to. So like if this space is empty, then the entire bag just kind of crunches down onto it, and then it makes it hard to pack up, because this is really chaotic to look at. This is a laptop sleeve, so this is like a laptop duffel is what they call it. This fits a 15.6 inch device. This is a 16-inch MacBook Pro. You can see that it fit in there, but it was basically right at the top. And then once I had this actually all packed up, I definitely had to like put in a little work to get it zipped over it. So I would say the smaller the device, probably the better. It does have like an elastic loop here to keep it secured and in place to keep your device from falling out. It's just like a hook and loop fastener down here to keep that secure. And then we just have two pouches here. like elastic pockets. I didn't use these a ton, honestly. I didn't really have a ton of items that would like fit in here and make sense. In like when I just packed up these kind of sample, I did just put a pouch in here, but even then it's just kind of like hanging out. So I honestly, if you don't use them, they're fine, but like if you want to use them, that's good too. You could put like extra bottles of toiletries or something in there, which actually leads me to this last kind of organization here. Now you can see kind of what I'm talking about when nothing's in here. It's just kind of like floppy. So a little bit of strategy involved with actually loading this thing up. But with this is a PVC wet and dry separation zipper pocket. I feel like this has a very specific function that just wasn't really necessarily functional for me every time I needed to use this bag. So I could see this being helpful. Like right now I have like, this is like something we use to wipe down the studio. It's a little bit wet. And so like I could see that being useful in here. If you have like, maybe you're leaving somewhere and you wash your face in the morning and you use a washcloth and you want to put the washcloth in here, or like your makeup remover or whatever, you could put that in here. But this pocket doesn't remove, like it's fully stitched in. So I wouldn't use this for toiletries because A, if you're flying, then you can't actually take them out and put them through TSA. And B, if you get to your destination and you want to actually take your toiletries to the bathroom, you can't take this out and take everything. You'd have to like take it out individually. So not super functional there either. The other thing with this is with this, like I could see this being helpful though if like maybe you want to put like a bathing suit in here. So like sometimes if you're like having if you late check out, or maybe you like run to the beach one last time before you leave your trip, it could be nice to have this because you can like throw your bathing suit in here once it's wet and then you don't have to like sit in a wet bathing suit on the way home. So I do think that it has function. I just think the function is so specific that for me, I just kind of ignored this or just used it as like a regular drop pocket for small accessories. But for the most part, because I am a pouch user, I didn't really need it. So I think it's kind of if you use it, cool. If not, it's not like it takes up that much room. So there you have it, the BAGSMART Walker 34-liter laptop duffel. Thanks for keeping it here at Pack Hacker, your guide to smarter travel, and we'll see you in the next one.